being a mom of two small children is teaching me is that it is not okay to not be like socially in touch. Oftentimes young people are told if they work hard, if they do the right thing, everything's gonna work out fine for them. By the way, I'm watching these two as I'm doing this. But anyway, and I bought into that idea. You know, if you go to school, if you save your money, if you don't get into any kind of trouble, mama, give me that. If you don't, you know, have children out of wedlock and all these different rules, that you're going to be okay. Well, no, that's not entirely true. Makes your life easier for sure. But it's not a fail-safe. So one thing that I'm learning about, Bookie, come here, is you got to be mindful of your surroundings. And so often, you know, people who come from low income backgrounds, things like safety, clean air, clean water are often viewed as like a luxury. And for that reason, I just kind of was moving in that same mentality. Like with the kids, I just kind of put them places that I knew that now looking back on it, they weren't like necessarily safe or the best environments, but it's just what I knew. So what I've decided to do is put them in better places than what I was in. And then that way you don't have to worry about, you know, crazy people doing crazy things. Because just because you grew up somewhere doesn't mean that's where you should continue to be. Obviously, I worked hard so I wouldn't end up in those spaces, right? So growing up, you know, I used to be told all the time that I'm gonna have to help people who are less fortunate than me. And they always use this term that, you know, God bless me, so I should bless others, right? And to an extent, it does make sense, but it's been out of context. So what they were basically referring to, well, the way that it was posed to me was, since I made better decisions, no, not I made better decisions. Since I was in a better position, it was up to me to help people who are in a lesser position than I am. Now, what was neglected was what decisions I made versus the people around me, particularly family. So just the rundown of like a black tax. There is this concept that in a family, usually like in a black family, basically, the most successful one out of everybody has to pull the weight of everybody in the family. And I didn't really think that people truly believed that. I thought that was something that didn't make sense. Therefore, you know, maybe when we were younger, that made sense. But then as you get older and you start working for what you get, you kind of abandon those ideas. So that's what I thought. But I started realizing that it's like you're supposed to do better with your life, and then you're supposed to not have better because you're a part of a struggling family. So you're supposed to stay in the struggle with everybody. It doesn't matter if that other person or those other people made poor decisions. Now, I'm pretty sure, no, I know for a fact that this is true for other cultures as well. It's not just a black thing. Like, you know, there are other people, especially immigrants, who come here and they're successful and they like, oh, I gotta send something back home. That's understandable, whatever. But as for me, just to keep it simple, I thought that generations before me, yeah, they made poor decisions. And for those of us who are growing up as the next generation, we were like, okay, we're not gonna do that, right? And then that's when I learned that it's like, no, it's not, we're not gonna do that. It's, you know, Jessica's gonna pay for it. Or, you know, my husband, Josh, is gonna pay for it. And it's like, well, no, you know, you make your bed, you lay in it. But we can still, you know, be family or friends or whatever. Anyway, this whole staying in the same environment Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would I go and work hard and then turn around and stay in the same environment that I worked so hard to get out of? Like, subconsciously, I didn't even realize that I was still putting my kids in the same place. Thinking, I mean, it's all that I knew. Like, all I knew was, okay, the whole ghetto mentality, the dysfunction, the instability. And I found myself, still hanging around that. And having kids is forcing me to realize, like, yo, just if you worked hard to get out of that environment, you should make sure your kids aren't there too. If you like quiet, safe spaces, clean areas, you should make sure your kids are in those quiet, safe spaces and clean areas. Like, there's like this disconnect. Like, you move out for you, but you stay around for them, for your kids. Like, because I did have this mentality. Yeah, I want my kids to be around, places where I grew up, people that I could relate to, cultures that made sense to me before I started getting a mind of my own. But then I started realizing, like, it's just having your own mind in any culture. It's not just black culture. Just having your own mind as a person who's less fortunate than most. It's like, oh, you forgot where you came from. It's like, no, I didn't forget where I came from. I just have decided not to subject myself to a lesser life. I just decided to make decisions that are better for me and my family. So anyway, I don't know. It just kind of took me a minute to throw this all together, but I'm learning that it's not just enough that I felt like I deserved better, but my kids, they deserve better. And I want them to have better, and I'm going to do better. And my husband and I, we just decided that we're going to stop allowing other people to influence the way that we're thinking about our lives and our children upbringing. And we're also going to stay away from people who like to disrupt things just because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.